So as a brief FYI, just in case you haven't heard the news, because I literally just found out myself, apparently Sword Art Online is going to be on break next week. For instance, when the episode comes out, it's going to be a recap episode, so just as a warning, because I know many typically do this every single time there is a recap episode for a popular series. They're like, Chibi, what's going on? Why isn't the episode coming out? Or where's your review or whatever? Just letting you all know, next week is a recap episode, so no episode review, obviously, from me, and also no new content for SEO Season 3, so just wanted to quickly clarify that before I go any further with, this episode review, for everybody's on the same page for next week. But okay, so you remember what I said last week with the whole Bleach comparisons with the Shikai and all that, with Kirito and, seeing what was happening with, Yu-Gi-Oh! With his, Shikai and stuff, Bleach and how their swords transform. It looks like we just got the Bankai edition. That's literally what we got here. With the whole, enhance and then release, you're like, this is legit Shikai Bankai. Like, seriously, the writer of SEO straight up took the system of how swords work inside of Bleach to be able to utilize them as powers for our characters in SEO. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if a system works, the system works. I mean, the whole Bankai Shikai power system in Bleach can be a little weird, yes, but it's an interesting system, and I've always been a fan of it. It was always a cool, unique system just to see how these characters have these unique abilities that come from their weapons. So, I have no problem with it, but you can really see the similarities when you watch this episode. Like, you cannot deny it anymore after seeing, Yu-Gi-Oh! Release his sword, and it's straight up a Bankai. But okay, Yu-Gi-Oh! That boy has learned a lot from Kirito. Like, holy crap. What he did to outsmart the commander of the Integrity Knights is pretty freaking impressive. The man slung his sword up to the ceiling in a quick motion. I love how you actually can get it from the visuals before it's even said to you. It's like not the standard you would see in like an anime or whatever, to where it's like, oh, that's what you did when the scene was really never shown or whatever. I like how it was actually noticeable if you really pay attention to the first time, he was fighting the Integrity Knight, and he slung the sword to the ceiling, and when it disappeared, he's like, oh, that's when he did it. It was a really cool scene, because this is something you would see Kirito do. Kirito is someone that is known to do tactics like this, to do things unexpected to trick the individual, because he knows how to PvP. I mean, he had to do a lot of this in the original SEO world. So he knows how to kind of outmaneuver humans and then take them down. And so him slinging up his blade like that is a typical Kirito move. And, Yu-Gi-Oh! He has learned that. He has learned from someone that spent so much time inside of VR. It's honestly insane. So I like seeing Yu-Gi-Oh! Taking tactics from Kirito's book and using it to be able to defeat his opponent. Which, by the way, the commander, love him. Great character. I'm actually very sad about what just happened to him. I really hope the commander isn't dead. If he really is dead, it's honestly such a waste to end his character like that, because there was just so much potential with him with this episode, with the background information since the very beginning, with finding out he was the one that, slayed the dragon. He's the one that kind of left the sword there to begin with. He was the person, a part of a fairy tale of Yu-Gi-Oh's village. I mean, there was just so much build up to this very moment for this episode, and it's sad to see a character like that just gone, which, I mean, I guess builds up the prime minister of, the clown dude that was introduced in this episode. It builds him up, but it's still sad. It's still very sad to see a character built up for so long just gone like that. It is very shocking, and I do have to admit they went, the correct path with that if they were going for shock value. But like I said, there was just so much potential, because, he was learning about what was really going on. Yu-Gi-Oh! Was like, hey, look, you were once a hero. You were someone that was in my fairy tales to my village, and you've been talked about for so long, and then here you are, right in person, but you don't even know what you've done in the past. You don't know your history, and you've forgotten all of it because your mind has literally been tampered with, and it's unfortunate. It's sad. And Yuji was just straight up revealing things, and the man was actually at that point to where he probably would have changed sides. He's like, even though I can't remember everything, it's like it feels very familiar. I do feel like, what you're saying makes sense, because I never wanted to believe in the story of me just descending from heaven, being like some form of warrior from heaven, and fighting for, the administrator. It's like, it didn't really make sense. I didn't want to believe it for so long. And so, like, now you coming up and saying stuff like this, even if it sounds weird, he's like, it does make sense if that truly is the case. So, I mean, there's so many things about the character I liked. I mean, let's not even get into his design. His design, oh my god, like, besides just his character design, I love his weapon. His weapon is so freaking cool. How the man spent a lot of time just to learn how to be able to deal with continuous attacks. That's impressive. And honestly, I probably am going to have to read the light novel for this scene, because I feel like there's going to be a lot more details describing what just happened in, this episode, which that's just how light novels are, and I don't expect an anime adaptation to always convey every single little detail from a book. I don't expect that, but I feel like if I was to read the light novels, I would have a little bit more respect and understanding of just how much time and effort he probably put in to the sword skill he learned, to be able to kind of like slice through the time itself. It's crazy, because we haven't really seen anything like that in this series, or at least from SEO Season 3, and seeing how he came to that conclusion, answer, and a lot of training to be able to fight continuous attacks and monsters, I like that. And also, I do like the hints of his backstory, like the little brief glimpse of how he said there was many times he was fighting, these dark creatures, like in the Darklands or whatever, and these creatures that, he has bad memories of them, horrific images, and he kind of elaborates that something really bad has happened to him as being an Integrity Knight. I mean, being an Integrity Knight, not, even before, because obviously he can't remember before he was an Integrity Knight, so you're like, what must have happened for a man like this to say stuff like that? What has happened as being an Integrity Knight? What horrors has he seen? And to be able to come to the conclusion to push himself to get a move like that, there has to be a lot of motive there. And that's why I say it's kind of a waste if his character is just gone right now. There's just so much potential with him. I mean, I do think he's a powerhouse. It was hinted at by, or actually just downright stated by the clown dude at the end, that he was definitely holding back. And there's probably some reasons for it, maybe. I mean, besides just, seeing that Yu-Gi-Oh is a good man and not thinking he truly is a vile villain. But I think there's more reasons there, but if that really is the case, then I can understand why they wouldn't want, or the writer wouldn't want him to join their party, because it would make their party too OP. I mean, granted, they are going up against, like, the administrator, which is, like, the GM of a story or a game or whatever, so, I mean, I guess it would still be balanced, because, I mean, administrator slash GM could do anything they want. They could literally spawn monsters that are so above your skill level that you can't really do anything about it, so I mean, I guess it would still be balanced, at least for their side. But even then, I guess it does make sense. I mean, he would just shadow Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh with his strength. And I think his design, honestly, in my opinion, is better than them. Because, I don't know, just something about, that type of character is just cool. I've always been a fan of characters that remind me of Guts with big, big swords and, like Dragon Slayer type Link swords. But okay, anyways, let's talk about what Yu-Gi-Oh did with his, Bankai release. So, his sword, as we know, it can create ice. He, like, transforms, like, he shoves his sword into the ground and, like, ice comes out of it. Cool. But he's able to actually continue that when he releases it, and roses start to form, vines form, and it literally sucks out your life force to be able to continue the spell. And because of how strong these spells are, it can even affect the wielder. And Yu-Gi-Oh did a really risky gamble in that moment. He actually was willing to bet his own life, or even die, just to take down the commander of the Integrity Knights. Pretty ballsy to do, honestly, because, as we know, Yu-Gi-Oh, he isn't technically a real person like Kirito. I mean, yes, there's a big discussion about AI and how they can be people. I'm not getting into that. But what I'm saying is, technically, if he dies, he's dead. But Kirito, if he dies, he's going to be able to get out. It's okay. But that's the point here, is that Yu-Gi-Oh is on a tightrope. And if he falls off that rope, it's over for him. And seeing him play with fire like that, it actually it makes everybody tense. It makes me tense. And I like the direction the story is going about that. Because Kirito, we're not really worried about him. I mean, let's just be 100% with each other. Kirito's going to be fine. Regardless of what happens with the story, Kirito's going to be able to get out. He's going to be able to be okay. He's going to be able to, figure out something. But regardless of that, if anyone else is being, dies in this world, they're potentially dead. Because we've seen when the, Fluctlights, when they, get destroyed or they realize they're dying, it's over for them. We've seen this already. So, that's the point here. I do wonder if we will have, like, a major character death or something, because there's just so much build-up to this with so much tension with Yu-Gi-Oh! I wonder if SEO is willing to pull a card like that. I don't know. I mean, I've heard a lot of good things about this arc past what I have read. I've heard that this is, like I said, the best arc of the series, and there's a lot of things that really just make up for all the problems that the original parts of the story had, and I am looking forward to it, because I do like this direction, focusing on Yu-Gi-Oh! Instead of Kirito, because we need stuff like that. We need another character that brings us back to the point of he's risking his life, and we're going back to the roots of the series. Now, speaking of Kirito, though, Kirito, we get a brief little scene with him with Alice in this episode, and oh my god, Kirito just pulling out food out of his pocket like nothing, and I believe he had like four of those buns, those steam buns or whatever, and he only gave 2. That man's hoarding 2 other steam buns inside of his pocket. You know he's going to be eating those when Alice probably passes out, but Kirito hands over Alice these steam buns so they can both eat. And it's the purpose of this part of the episode. It really isn't as important compared to everything else, but it's once again to humanize Alice and showing that even though she's an Integrity Knight and she has been brainwashed, she hasn't lost what makes her, so to say. And it seems like as we continue to have this scene progress with Kirito and Alice, that Alice might make the decision to switch sides. And it's probably not going to be easy, because we know the brainwashing and stuff that the administrator has done, but the more the story progresses with Kirito and Alice hanging out, the more I feel like Alice might, shift sides and, help out. Which, that's what I was talking about when it came to, the commander, is that he was probably going down the Alice route, but that was ended. Which, by the way, speaking of that again, with Yu-Gi-Oh! Technically hurting himself with his own Bankai, he's freezing himself, and that clown dude walking in, he wants to make Yu-Gi-Oh! An Integrity Knight. That's scary, because that actually, I wonder, I mean, it could happen, actually. It legit could happen, but the question is, would it happen? He broke the taboo index. So would Yu-Gi-Oh! Would he be able to be controlled by the administrator? I mean, yes, he's a program, he is a part of the system, so that could happen. But I do wonder, because he's demonstrated he has his own free will now. He's his own man. And so will he be able to be brainwashed? Like, if they try to go through the whole procedure of brainwashing him and turning him into an Integrity Knight, would it work? Like, would it? Or even if they do successfully make him Integrity Knight, could he easily break it? Like, if Kirito walks in and talks to him and he sees Alice too, will that completely be broken? Which, by the way, here's another thing too. If, Yu-Gi-Oh! Becomes an Integrity Knight, Alice is going to know something's up, because obviously she knows that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is technically an enemy, and she automatically sees the man being like a part of her side as an Integrity Knight. She's going to be like, what the hell's going on here? So there's going to be a lot of blanks there, and she's going to realize, yeah, they're not what they really think they are. They are being brainwashed and controlled. So maybe that is the way to wake up Alice, to allow her to shift sides and help out, which in turn could be used to help out Yu-Gi-Oh! If he really is controlled and becomes an Integrity Knight. But okay, I think that's pretty much about it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click that bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.